Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Business of Healthcare. Today we're at a really exciting clinic. Prevention is one of the oldest principles in medicine, like prevention is better than cure, yet it's something that we rarely practice. Today I'm standing outside of Neko Health, which was founded by Daniel Ek, who is the founder of Spotify, and he has a simple mission. He wants to make sure that we're all living longer and healthier. I'm going to take you guys through my scan today to show you what we get up to. I want you to picture what your traditional healthcare experience looks like, and it probably looks nothing like this. Today we're going to be taking you on a tour of what I think is one of the coolest clinics in Europe. Co-founded by Hjalmar Nilsonne and Daniel Ek, the Neko experience was different. From the colors, to the sounds, to the smells, to almost the empty waiting room, you could tell that everything in this place had been thought out. And the check-in experience was even better. It was stress-free, hassle-free. It didn't feel like I was being judged, but it felt like I was almost super relaxed and checking into a luxury hotel. The other part of the Neko experience which I really loved is how they thought about all of the senses, whether it was touch, whether it was feel, and whether it was other things which were just completely random. Is there a reason for the slides, or it's just part of the experience?
Yeah, and comfort as well.
Yeah, they feel very like I remember when the Yeezy slides first came out, that's what they kind of felt like. When was the last time you saw someone in slippers and they were stressed? And I think the Neko team know this and they use this to their advantage. Once you have your slippers on, it's time to get the scan, and this is where the fun begins.
Initiating scanning. 3, 2, 1. (2,104 images captured and counting. Processing data. Full body scan successful. Please step down from the scanner and move to the bed.
Visiting your doctor is often very scary because things are happening and you have no idea what is going on. The great part of this experience was how there was a voice explaining every step of the process. It was weird, felt like you're in a sunbed. I've never been in a sunbed, but yeah, I imagine that's what it feels like. Yeah. So what, I have to set at 90 degrees and just push?
And yeah, I'll let you know when to squeeze. Squeeze, 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 squeeze.
So here we're testing my grip strength. And grip strength is something that declines faster in people whose bodies are aging more rapidly. And studies have shown that weaker grip strength is associated with higher risk of things such as cardiovascular disease, respiratory disease, cancer, and all-cause mortality. So it's a great test to be able to see longevity.
So the reason that we check eye pressure is to look for early signs of glaucoma. You'll feel like tats in your eyes. You shouldn't feel painful or uncomfortable. You can blink in between as well, okay?
All right.
So if you look straight ahead for me, and then, is it okay if I place my hand on your shoulder?
Yeah, that's fine.
For stability, yeah? Open your eye for me.
Feels like someone's tickling your eyelid.
You wearing any contact lenses?
No, I don't. So the early, like looking at early signs of eye pressure is mainly for glaucoma diagnosis. Is there
Because it's normally not symptomatic. People don't feel symptoms with it, so they detect it early.
Okay, and when it's detected early, is it just like the pressure will be rising, or?
Yeah, so be high pressure.
All right, cool. Do you see that in young people, or is it mainly like old people?
I haven't come across with younger people, but it can happen to young people as well.
I take bloods every day. I'm a doctor, so I take bloods on patients, but on myself usually. I don't know. We're gonna see. Feels like you're in a spa. Yeah. Speed is a currency, and people are often happy to pay more to know that things will be done faster. However, in healthcare, we've struggled to keep up with that demand simply because of the rising pressures on the healthcare system. Whereas experiences like Neko acknowledge this. Something like your bloods being done and results being back in almost less than 30 minutes is absolutely remarkable.
Initiating tissue analysis. Right now, light at many different wavelengths is hitting your skin, which is either absorbed or scattered, enabling us to analyze molecular composition and tissue structure.
I've done a lot of work when it comes to skin of color in medicine and how medical devices can sometimes give different results based on your skin color. I'd be super intrigued to know whether any of this has been factored into the Neko models that they've used, just to be able to get an understanding of whether there is differential outcomes.
You can feel me separating your toes now.
There is a popular saying that medicine is an art form because no two people will interpret things the same. And I think this comes from the fact that a lot of things in medicine are subjective. Let's take heart sounds for instance. It's really difficult for you to be able to interpret heart sounds in the same way as another doctor a lot of the time unless it's strikingly obvious. And one part of the Neko experience that I really took away from this is how we need to make more of the subjective things objective. Because when we can make those things objective, it's easier for us to track, it's easier for it to trace, and it's easier for us to be able to give actionable information based on the data that we've collected. When things are not objective, it kind of leaves things in the air. And from a consumer perspective, it fills me with a little bit of doubt because I've just been given this information and I don't know what to do with it. However, one thing that the Neko model completely hones in on is the fact that every single piece of data that they collect needs to be an actionable piece of data and something that you as a person can go home and action straight away.
Right, Malone, how was your scan?
Yeah, it felt really weird. It made me realize that a lot of the experience with like traditional healthcare that I've experienced, there's a lot of waiting, but this felt like everything was just happening like one after the other. And even the operator lady, she said, "Oh, a doctor's gonna come and see you," and like 2 seconds later, you open the door, and it just felt like a movie kind of.
We're really focused on delivering a great experience. So really happy that you picked up on that. And I'm going to blow your mind in a minute because you are going to get the fastest blood results you've ever had in your life.
Let's see if the lab takes long to process it.
So are you ready to dive in and have a look at your results?
Let's get straight into it.
Great, here we go. So in a moment, you're going to see your avatar appearing on screen. This is a 3D model of you that we've created from your scan data. So when you're in the skin scanner, we look at visible light, we look at some thermal imaging, but we also create some measurements of you.
Oh, cool.
And that is you. I hope they look familiar.
I'm trying to see if the muscles in the gym are paying off.
So we're going to look at three main areas today. We're going to look at heart and circulation. We're going to look at your body, and that includes things like your metabolism, and we're going to look at your skin. And we've been quite strategic with how we pick those. I can have almost anyone sat in front of me in that chair there, and across these three areas, we're going to find a few lifestyle changes they can make to optimize their long-term health.
Yeah.
And they're also the areas where we see rising rates of things like diabetes and heart disease here in the UK. So we're really keen to help people avoid those. So we're going to start with heart and circulation. And the first thing that we're going to look at is your arterial health. And we do that by looking at your blood pressure at 4 places around your body. And we go with the arm that's got the higher reading. So your blood pressure today is 134/70. Now, have you measured your blood pressure in recent weeks? Do you know what it tends to run at?
Not in recent weeks.
Okay. So I think this is an area that's worth looking at. And I say that for a couple of reasons. So when we look at, whilst it's a normal blood pressure, but if we compare you to other men in your age group, your blood pressure is actually higher than 82% of men in your age group. And when we think about where you sit on the scale of normal, so it's in this area where we'd say you've got slightly elevated blood pressure between 130 and 140, and I would like it to be lower, ideally below 120, because we know where that's where your long-term cardiovascular risks are going to be minimised. Now, the reason I'm passionate about this is when I look 10, 20, 30 years into your future, I know that there's a risk that you will develop high blood pressure. So, and at the moment, this is based on the results of a very large research study following people over decades. There's a probability that in your 40s, your doctor would find that you have high blood pressure. And I don't want you to be one of the people who ends up being diagnosed with it. I'd really like you following this line, or if you can push it down even further, this one, where throughout your lifetime, you're not going to develop high blood pressure. So we know you're doing really well on exercise. So it sounds like you're getting a really good balance of strength and cardio.
From a business perspective, one of the opportunities that Neko has is their longitudinal data. And this is because this is something that is not tracked often in the healthcare system. Little things like being able to know how someone's heart sounds have changed over the years will be immense value when you finally have it. And because Neko are comparing their data against other people who are taking the Neko scans, the more people who are scanning, the more they can understand the human body, both when it's well and both when it's unwell. And this gives more insights because they'll be able to predict illness and disease a lot earlier than most people will be able to, just because of their data sets.
And we took a recording while you were lying on the couch.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's reconstructed from the laser signal that we were measuring your pulse waves in your neck. And we take a recording of your heart at every scan so that if something abnormal develops, we're able to go back and look at the history of that. So in terms of heart rhythm, I'm very happy. Your pulse was 62 and your resting heart rate is an interesting measure when we're thinking about longevity. So generally, if you've got a nice low resting heart rate, people who have that tend to live longer and healthier than people with higher resting heart rates. So someone who's doing perfect amounts of cardio and strength training, their resting heart rate can be in their 50s. Yours is still good in your 60s, but that might be a metric you want to track over time.
What was the specific number?
So it's 62 when we measured yours. Yeah.
Okay.
So below average for sure. But you could potentially go lower.
Yeah, I just wanted to compare it because I've got a Whoop, so I wanted to see.
Oh yeah, what is it on there?
Let me see actually. I'm not sure. I know resting heart rate is one of the things it tracks. It says average is 57.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Around about the same range.
And pulse varies from minute to minute.
How rested I was is another question.
Right. And caffeine, all those kinds of things.
Oh yeah, I saw on the questionnaire it was like, don't take caffeine before. Is that the reason?
That's one of the reasons, yeah. Because it can slightly...
I was literally about to have a cup of coffee and then I was doing the form as I was having breakfast and I was like, oh, okay, let me leave this. I don't know why, but we'll find out later. I was like, for most people, these strokes probably could have been avoided.
Yeah.
But the unfortunate thing is we will just wait for it to happen and then we'll treat the stroke rather than the things that this person could have been caught like 20 years earlier before this happened. But I guess that's the traditional system of healthcare.
Exactly that. It's a very different way of thinking that we have at Neko. We're not trying to diagnose you with blood pressure when we take it, but we are trying to help you understand where you sit relative to other people your age. And if it looks like over your lifetime you're likely to develop it, talk about the simple lifestyle changes you can make to avoid it rather than waiting until you develop it and then giving you medication, which you probably don't want.
Lifelong aspirin.
Yeah, exactly. It's the people who come through and have a Neko scan, about 80% of people are perfectly healthy, but they will have some modifiable risk factors that they can adjust.
Cool. I'd be really intrigued to see, I know on the thing that you collect like almost like ethnicity data. I'd be intrigued to, obviously this is not necessarily disclosable information, but from you guys' perspective to say, is there any differences? Because we know that like if someone is Black African, you give them a different antihypertensive to someone who's white British. And I wonder from going 20 years earlier to people like me, is there differences that myself at 26 as an African man and a white British man, is there any differences in like these readings from that early?
So currently we compare you to everyone in your age group. So same age, same sex. As Neko evolves, then we're going to start asking deeper questions of our data and looking at how
I'd be really interested when that comes out. I think it will be like getting more granular and more granular. Yeah. Maybe there's no trend, or maybe there is, I don't know.
The level of granularity we aim for is advice that is personalised to you, not just the group that you fit in. So, that's our long-term goal is, we really want to personalise the advice that we're giving you.
Yeah, that's really nice.
The skin scanner took 2,000 high-resolution photos while you're in there. So I'm going to show you that in action on your back.
That is funny.
It's wild, isn't it? So I'm going to show you the level of detail. We're just going to zoom in on one of the... So the blue boxes are skin markings being detected, and you've got very few actually, but you can see with the level of detail that we capture, you're able to see individual pores and hairs on your skin there. So with the markings that we do capture, we put them in your skin catalogue. You've got 434. And up here, these were selected for interest. So if we zoom in on this one, it's up here on your right clavicular area.
Neko is new, it's exciting, and it's fresh. But there is some pros and there is some cons to a model like this, so it was important for me to catch up with Dr. Sam to be able to ask him all the questions I had.
Prevention in medicine is always better than cure, but it's not really practiced. What do you think makes the Neko model so successful at doing that?
So the thing which blew my mind when I started working for Neko was their ability to look at the entire experience of healthcare, which is absolutely revolutionary when you compare it to the average health check. So from the moment you step into one of our clinics, we're trying to make sure that you're in as relaxed and receptive a state as possible, so that when we come to talk to you about the kinds of positive changes you can make to change your long-term health trajectory, you're as likely as you ever be to take those on board. That's a focus on things which we may not traditionally consider in healthcare. Everything from the colour, the sounds, the flow through the clinic, how efficient it is. It's an incredibly efficient experience in the scan room.
Yeah, we definitely noticed that today. It's like earlier I was saying how from the minute I lay on the bed, it wasn't like you're waiting for anything. And it made me realize my work as a doctor, I'm telling patients, oh, we're going to take your blood and we'll talk to you in the afternoon. And there's just all these gaps of waiting, which I didn't realize. Another thing that people would say, I guess critics of the Neko model will talk about things like health anxiety, like this is for like the worried well. How would you answer those critics? My answer personally would be, a lot of the times we look at healthcare as something that we need to react to when it's almost too late. That's kind of the common thing that we think about. But of course, there is this whole new world of we can prevent these things from happening. How would you react to the critics of the Neko model?
So I think firstly, taking the phrase the worried well, another way to reframe that is someone who's interested and engaged with their health and they have questions about it. And we're here to help them answer those questions. So 80% of people who come through, have a Neko scan, will be perfectly healthy. What that stat hides is those 80% of people will also have had a conversation with someone like me who's really passionate about lifestyle medicine, prevention, and who's willing to take that 10, 20, 30-year view into the future to help you avoid developing disease. The other point that I would make is that if we do find an abnormality, so the 20% of people who come through and we identify something that's out of the normal range, we will take care as an organisation to fully investigate that person. So one of the examples is if we find something like a murmur during your scan, we'd perform an echocardiogram, an ultrasound scan of the heart. We do that at no extra cost. Now what that lets our doctors do is refer back to that person's their own GP with all of the information that GP knows to confirm that there is a treatable condition there. And that's in contrast to what will often happen if you just have a test and that you don't have that time with the doctor to interpret the results, then you're left with the results that can cause anxiety and mean that you want to go and talk to your GP about it. But what we want to do is to absolutely minimise the load on the NHS and to only send someone back to their doctor when we're absolutely certain that there's an abnormality.
Okay, cool. And I guess almost like to round it up, we always talk about like private healthcare and public healthcare. I saw that Neko raised, I think, about $250 million to keep it going. And something like this is only good if it's going to exist in that 30 years, in that 10 years. Where do you see the Neko brand heading in the future? Is it opening more clinics across the world? Is it more tests, more offerings? Like, what do you think is the North Star?
So you touched on several things there, all of which are goals for us as an organisation. I think what you need to remember about Neko is that we are really unique in the healthcare space, so that we have everyone from the scientists who are developing the theories that drive our approach, through to the engineers who create the devices that we have in our clinics, through to the designers that create space that we're in, and the doctors that we need to put together the guidelines that we follow. So it's a the goal is very broad. We want to make the scan as accessible as possible to all people. The scan isn't static. From year to year, people will see it change. So we're constantly looking at how we can enhance it. What's the next thing that we should be looking at that has as much application to as many people as possible?
So that's been another episode of The Business of Healthcare. You guys got to see me have my scan, you got to see me get my results, and you got to see what the future of healthcare can actually look like. I'm always on the lookout for new models of healthcare that are better than what we're currently doing, simply because I just think that there is so much room for growth in healthcare. There is so much opportunity for change, people want to do a lot more. And I'm always looking for clinics who are really doing that just to push the edge further. So if you have a clinic that you want us to come and visit, let me know and we'll be able to come there. In the meantime, make sure you like, comment and subscribe. And in fact, leave an apple in the comments if you made it this far in the video. That way we can know that you made it and you loved the episode.